All right, everybody, welcome back to the best hour of their day. I am on today with one of my bosses, which if you're in the CrossFit community, OG as it gets, I guess, Nicole Carroll, Executive Director of Training and Certifications for CrossFit. And you and the team have been busy.
Yes, we have been busy.
And so I wanted to, we were trading emails and I wanted to bring Nicole on because obviously CrossFit has launched their online versions of the level 1 and then most recently the kids course. And there's been a lot of, I guess, speculation about what the course is and questions about how it's run. So I figured I would go to the head honcho and we would talk about it and kind of shed some light on all of the specifics that everybody has questions about. But before we get to that, I did have a question that a lot of the viewers want to know, which is roughly how many takes does it take you to get the announcements for the workouts?
Oh, that's a good question. It seems like it takes a lot, doesn't it, from the bloopers? The thing that, because I work with David Tittle a lot,
Yep.
and what he does with me is he leaves the camera running. So, because it just makes it easier to kind of, so even if I'll come in and maybe get like the support your local box fundraiser, those are pretty easy because they're quick. But the funny thing is what I had to do there that was different than what I've ever done before was voiceover. And it gave me a lot of respect. I thought, oh, voiceover is easy. I just get to read from the paper.
Nope.
And actually almost all of the bloopers from the support your local box fundraiser, it came from the voiceover stuff and just kind of like, wow, like reading from the paper, but trying to be animated and, so yeah. So we do a bunch of takes. The open stuff, the longer the stuff gets, the more takes we do.
Well,
But
you
we
get
also,
tongue-tied and then you don't know what you're saying anymore.
yeah. And I think some of it too that's fun is just the rapport there because he just works really well in terms of helping me relax and be natural and just like joking around and being silly helps me. And
He's really good at that too. And he's quick-witted and I'm sure makes the mood very light. So
yeah,
that's
and
good.
he gives great feedback in terms of, like if it's a little flatter, and I love that, right? Because it's like you want it to come out as best as possible. So yeah, but it's pretty fun. And then just randomly he put together those bloopers one year and it's like, wow, that's pretty
I know exactly what you're talking about with the voiceover. So we've been doing a lot of video here and just creating videos and basically just stealing a lot of the stuff that I talked to Tyson about and creating content. And I was doing the same thing before we got onto this as I was doing some voiceover for movements. And it is far more difficult than people think because you have to think about your pacing and then what you're going to say. And then depending on what the video is, you have to time it up so that the words match the duration of the video.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of foul language on those audio language. just yelling at myself. So I did want to dive in, so obviously I got some insight. I talked to, Chuck yesterday and just wanted to talk because I know he's run one of the level 1s, but was that on the radar and got sped up, or was that something that we're just like, hey, we got to do something at this point?
Okay, no, that was not on the radar. That was on the radar. It's funny, actually, I can tell you the exact day that it got on the radar because we were running the passing score study for the level 4. And then because of that, I had actually missed an executive team meeting in Santa Cruz. But that day was also the day that really we started to kind of hear that stuff's getting shut down, like stuff's getting real. And we had and I got the call and it was like, hey, we got to try to put the level 1 online. And then it was like, okay, let's do it. And I think even at that time, I didn't quite believe how quickly and how literally by that weekend or the following weekend, we were rescheduling every single seminar all over the world. And at that point, it was like, okay, this isn't something that we get to take our time with. We have to really, we've basically got to just kind of mobilize everyone, all the resources, everything, get our bearings and get this done, and just with whatever we have.
Roughly how long? So first and foremost, I've heard nothing but great things about it. So I've heard that the participants actually love it, which makes sense, and I get some questions about that. But I don't think people understand how fast that happened.
Yeah, it happened really fast. And here's one thing I will say that was helpful is that content is so dialed in, and there was nothing to do in terms of changing any of the content.
Yeah.
So, and then we have a cadre of lecturers and who know the material, and so that was all kind of a very nice cushion. So even though we had to move really quickly, sometimes when you're developing a course, the content is one of the things that takes the longest time. So outside of that, it's the filming and then building the course. And then the other piece that a lot of people aren't aware of is just the whole back-end IT side of things, where you can integrate the online course platform with RegFox so that we can track credentials appropriately, and and so that is just another side of things that again, we just had our department, other departments just kind of really dug in, and that was the priority, just getting that done.
So I think the first question is, who's the course for? So it's not just for anybody, like not just anybody can register for the course.
Yeah, no, it's only right now it is for revalidates only. So it's if you're a current credential holder, level 1 or level 2, actually any level 1 or above, it can take the course. And what it will do if you take it is it will revalidate your level 1 or your level 2 for your next 5-year term. And then if you're level 3 or level 4 and you wanted to take it, you can get CEUs towards the maintenance of your credential if that's something that you're moved to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of some of the stuff that I saw, read, heard, all that stuff was there, and I think it was just misunderstanding. They didn't, or just ignorance, because there wasn't a ton of information about it. Was that it was just going to be, I get online, I watch some lectures, and that's the level 1. And I know, I personally know how you and a lot of the leadership in CrossFit feel about that in-person experience. Did that have a lot to do with why it went to revalidates first?
That had everything to do with it, yeah. Because really, first time, I think the across the board, really from Greg to myself and Dave, and I think most anybody, probably, even our entire staff, there's that you can't replace that in-person experience, and the yes, the information and the education, but I think just the relationship building, the camaraderie that happens, and really the exposure to the culture and the transmission of culture that happens there, that personally, I feel really strongly about that as what happens in that regard at level 1s being something so critical to keeping this community as cool as it is, really, because it's not, because it really is look at everything that's going on right now. It's a relationship-based community, and it's a community rooted in such a strong culture, and that level 1 is really any trainer or affiliate, I feel like, and I know, again, like you said, pretty much we all across the board agree. If you want to be a CrossFit trainer affiliate, you should have that in-person experience. So that's the reason why it's not open to first-time attendees.
Yeah, right? I couldn't agree more. Like I felt the same, and this is before I knew anything about it. People were like, well, the course is going online, and that's just going to water down the course. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I just can't imagine they're going to do that. And I was right. Obviously I had trust because I've, been working for the company for a long time, and I've heard you preach on occasion after occasion about the transmission of culture. And while there are things you can do virtually, it just cannot be replaced, the in-person level one. It's such a good experience. And I mean, you've worked many of them. That interaction that you have, not just in the breakouts or during the lectures, but during the breaks and during the workout and after the workout, that stuff needs to stay intact. And I think it's what you alluded to is a lot of why many affiliates are not falling apart at the seams right now, because they have those relationships. They're figuring out how to make it work. And so, yeah, I think that was the big misconception, that was just an online course that I watched some video and then I take a test, and I was like, I don't think that's how it's going to work. I mean, a lot of the real takeaways there are in those breakouts of those like live interactions. So
yeah, and we do have the webinar component. So there's the online component where you watch the lectures, and it's pretty neat because it's chunked up. The lectures are chunked up, and then almost by the instructor manual, almost by teaching point.
Yep.
And then there's short quizzes. So it's actually a really cool way, I think, to learn the material. And there's that piece, and then there's the test in there. But the test isn't secure. And that's another reason, I think, in terms of being a first timer, that you haven't gone through the in-person course, you haven't passed the secure test. I mean, I think all of those standards are really important to preserve. And I don't know, if it were looking like, oh man, this is going to be going on for another 6 months, obviously maybe there'd be some way that we'd have to look at, how can we accommodate people who want to learn more about CrossFit, you know what I mean? And there's different ways. I don't think it's impossible to do, but it's certainly something we're trying to hold out on and see if we can just sort of transition into like, hey, we're open up again, even if the gigs have to be smaller or whatever we have to do, working with just making sure we have that in-person component. But then the other piece is the webinar. So again, it's like Zoom classes at affiliates. It's the same thing where it's got something of that relationship building, and it's a live person. It's our, like you said, Chuck's running them, and our best of the best. And it's what a cool experience to be in a class webinar, reviewing your 9 foundational movements with Chuck and Q&A, and really like what we tell them is, hey, anything goes. Like, these are revals, so meet them at their level, and in terms of allow some coaching of each other, allow time for Q&A for anything they want to talk about, even looking at different movements or stuff like that. So that's a pretty cool aspect of it. That's a little different. It's kind of nice that we can gear it a little more strongly to revalidates in that sense. We don't actually have that same opportunity as much when you're in person. You're kind of catering it actually more to that first timer.
So for anybody who's trying to imagine this, and feel free to correct me at any point here, I registered for the course, and I get essentially the course curriculum. I get the lectures that I need to get through in video format with those little quizzes. And I can do that beforehand. So that's all done kind of on my own time.
Right.
And then we do the webinar, which is what's the allotted time for that?
It's about a 4-hour.
Okay.
Allotted.
So that's where we would do the breakout portion of it.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And that's and I was talking to Chuck yesterday. He's like, it's really cool, but it is challenging. So you're doing your level 1 breakout. So for your revalidates or anybody who's seen the videos of level 1, we're not in a circle, obviously, because it's virtual, but the athletes are moving, and the coach is going to be watching those and giving cues and doing active classrooms and doing all that stuff. So you're still going to get that interaction and the questions and the insight into the coach's mind about how they're unpacking all that stuff. So I think you still get a lot of that. It's just not in person.
Right. Yeah.
So that was one of the big misconceptions or misunderstandings about the courses, that somehow that was going to be lost in the whole process, but it's really cool to see that it's not.
No, and it's really important for us to preserve it. So it's
So what's different about, because was the kids course just launched as well, correct?
Yes.
how is that one different? Because I feel, so I've taken that course. I think it's one of the best courses that I think that the level 1, the level 2, and the kids course are like my top 3.
Yeah.
How is that one structured a little bit differently? Because typically we have kids that come in as demonstrators during that course.
Yeah.
You do the in-person portion.
Yeah. So kids is all webinar based. So
Okay.
there's no just self-paced component. It's run right now. I think we just put up some midweek ones,
Okay.
but mostly like a Saturday, Sunday, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. I think it's about 8 contact hours, so 4.5 hours each day, including breaks and things like that. And it's literally, I mean, right now, for example, Todd's running a lot of them, and so it's Todd and another staff member just delivering the course, all of the lectures, and then there's kind of this multimedia component where it'll show working with kids.
Okay.
So where you're not getting the live demonstrations per se,
Oh,
but
I got what you're saying.
you're still getting similar demonstrations, just in terms of what it's like to work with actual kids.
Yeah.
Like you get at the course.
Yeah, that's one of the more eye-opening. And so anybody that ever asked me at a level 1 or level 2, what courses should I take? And like kids is like top. If
Yeah.
you can take that course, it's so useful to new coaches just to learn to simplify things, just in general, just like bringing all that knowledge down to a really digestible level so that it doesn't matter who that you're working with. So that's why I push people to that course all the time. It's just like such a great, I mean, I learned so much. We hosted it at our affiliate, I think like 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like
I
upset that
agree.
I didn't do it earlier.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's actually, what's really cool is there's a lot of people signing up for it right now, and really candidly, it's doing a lot better than the in-person one.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and I'm happy to see that because I've always felt the same way. I think it's really one of our most undervalued offerings. And then, we kind of removed the requirement to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, the attendance, and kind of it seemed like the interest in it really dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been actually really nice to see making it more accessible like this has seemed to really kind of just drive the interest up. And I mean, we've sold out a bunch of them already.
That's awesome.
Just in a few days. And it is awesome because that piece of feedback, and I felt that way about the course too. I think it's great for teaching kids, but it's also so valuable.
I think it might be better for teaching adults.
For teaching adults. Yeah. I mean, it really, really is, just so, yeah.
How does the test work for the level 1? So you said it was unsecured, but what does that mean?
Yeah. So at the end of the online component, it's a 50 question multiple choice test. And it is the same as the current test, but what we're going to do then is change the test when things come back in person.
Oh, got it. Okay. So you have to update the in-person test.
Yes,
Got
because basically now this exam is unsecured. So that doesn't quite fly. But
That's what I was going to ask you about the how does that affect the credentialing of the course? So I would imagine that solves that problem.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It won't affect accreditation, and also, that's one of the other things, because these are revalidates. It's like they've been training for 5 years. And so this sense that you need to test their knowledge, or, I think the stakes there, it was like, okay, I think it's okay to make that kind of compromise right now. Whereas I don't think for the first time through, we want to make that compromise, right?
Yeah.
We want to maintain that standard. And so yeah. So right now the test is, it's really more like a reinforcement of learning. Oh, like the level 2 test is like that also, where
Got it.
and there's some, you get something wrong, there's a little bit of feedback as to like, hey, actually, think about this and that sort of thing. So it's not something you can fail.
Got it. Okay. So you can just take it until you kind of like get your brain wrapped around. Okay.
Yeah.
How many people are the courses capped? So like obviously the level 1s, depending on location, they're capped. Are the online courses capped?
Yeah. Right now the webinars are capped at 7 people.
Oh, okay.
So it's really intimate, and we looked at just kind of getting some feedback from the instructors and stuff, and they're feeling that going any bigger, you lose you lose some of the intimacy, some of the ability to really dig in and work with people. And so, you know, and it's a nice thing about that platform because we can schedule a whole bunch of
Mm-hmm.
small ones. I mean, we certainly have the staff to support it. You know, if it were to go off like gangbusters and we're
Mm-hmm.
doing, you know, 12 of whatever a weekend again or 20 a weekend,
Yeah.
uh, you know, so yeah, so we cap them at 7 right now. So it's almost like
That's
a
cool.
small
Yeah.
group at a,
At the
yeah,
level
sorry,
2. No, you're good. No, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's a level 1, but more with a level 2 type
mm-hmm.
environment, which really allows you to dig in on things that you may not get to if you have because typically we try to keep the level 1s to about 1 to 10.
1 to 10, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
but and then the level 2s is like that 1 to 6, 1 to 7, which is more valuable for the participants. So I think anybody who's looking at that for revalidate, like, you know, I don't want to say you're definitely not going to get more bang for your buck, but you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck
Yep.
doing it that way,
Yes.
you know. So
Yes.
I think that's really cool. I didn't realize that it was that small, but now that I think about it, if you just have one trainer on there, that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it would be too much to manage.
Yep. Yep. They like the 7, so we're gonna keep it that way. Seems like
Yeah.
that's going really well.
The feedback that I've heard like from the participants was over the top good. But I would imagine it's because of that kind of more personal interaction where you just get,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants 4 hours of Chuck Church
I
just to
know.
ask Chuck questions.
I know, right?
I just call him in the middle of the week to bug him and just talk to him. um, so and these are not just on the weekends, correct?
No, not just on the weekends. Although we have found there's greater interest on the weekends. So
Mm-hmm.
we scheduled some midweek, and the interest was pretty low. And we'll still schedule some,
Okay.
but it seems like people are much more interested in doing stuff on the weekends. I assume, you know, I hope also that a lot of people are still working, right? So
I
that
hope.
that makes sense. Yeah, you know that, but the weekends still are generating the most interest for even for the online stuff.
Is there, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure, I know you guys are tracking it. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel for in-persons? Is there any kind of quasi start date for those?
Not really. We're just monitoring it by location. So, like last weekend, we did a couple of in-person courses, one in Korea and one in China, because those countries actually are we're allowed to do a
Mm-hmm.
certain number and maintaining the social distancing
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And so it really is just going to be kind of this rolling thing that we keep our eye on and then go region by region as we're allowed. And I'm assuming we'll also have to make plans to accommodate, right, certain numbers and
Mm-hmm.
certain procedures during the
Yeah, and
event.
I would imagine that's going to get sticky because that's state by state, depending
Yeah.
on what they want to do. You know, if they have
Yeah.
different, you know, some people, because we're trying to figure it out. I mean, I'm on a call this afternoon with Maggie and some other affiliate owners trying to put together some just different plans for a reopening and what that would look like. But I think so. There's going to be, I think so. I think David Osorio is going to be on that call. So that's New York, and then Virginia, and then a couple gyms in Maryland, all of which are probably going to have some different parameters for who's allowed in the building and how many people based on size or just a cap.
Yeah.
So, yeah, then I don't envy the Reg team either. But then again, I never really envy the Reg team or the travel team.
No,
So.
I don't envy them either. No, they've been working their asses off really, because that's how we shut down. We shut down on a rolling
Mm-hmm.
basis where you're just monitoring closure after closure after closure, and it
That
was
was
wild.
for most people on seminar staff, that was a weird roller coaster of emails because you get the email about seminar staffing. You're like, oh, I got staffed. You're like, nope, got moved to June. You're like, oh, got
Yeah.
staffed. Nope, got moved to June. It's like,
Oh, now it's August.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody, and then once you started getting those, it's like, yeah, I'm probably not going to work for a little bit, but that's fine. Does I don't want to dive too much into the level 4 because I would actually like to do a whole separate one on that. But is
Yeah.
there any update on that you can give, or
You
did
know,
this whole thing ruin that?
yeah, because that was actually legitimately slated to launch in May. And like I said, we had just finished the passing score study, which was a huge piece that we needed to get done.
Mhm.
And then we were going to run kind of the first iteration of it in Santa Cruz. And so that one's going to depend a lot on what happens in terms of gathering, because obviously that's
Yeah.
in-person performance exam. And it requires a class, right? So
Hmm.
it's kind of like a I think it's 7 to 10 person class, a bunch of assessors, and then the candidate.
Yeah.
And so that one,
Can you talk about that at all, or is that not ready to be
no, I
like?
can talk about a little bit. Like,
Yeah,
what
like
is
so that everybody wants to know about that one. So what does that course look like, and kind of how does it work?
Sure. So it's a certification, so it's not a course. And I know
See, everybody, even I get corrected on these things.
Amy Hollingsworth did a great job kind of
Yeah.
teasing them out. But generally, so this is just a test. So
Hmm.
even though it's in person and it's performance-based exam, so there's no teaching. And actually, we're wanting to get it accredited, which would be would be great. And it's very hard to do with a performance test of this nature, um, which is a whole other thing. And maybe we can talk about stuff like that on
Yeah.
a whole separate
Yeah.
call. Because I mean, I could talk about it, forever, because there's a lot of really exciting stuff there in terms of accrediting it and all that. But one of the key pieces of it being creditable, yeah, is that we can't give any feedback. So it's just the assessor is just there to assess you, and there is no like, hey man, how'd I do? Or and then you get your results, and you'll get a diagnostic, and
Hmm.
it'll kind of outline areas, like a broad brush type of
Yep.
diagnostic, where if you didn't pass, like these are the areas to focus on for next time. But the kind of the format of the exam is it's going to be at an affiliate, and affiliates will be testing centers. And
Okay.
we're starting with seminar staff affiliates initially,
Okay.
because it's a bit of a tax on the host, right? Like
Hmm.
it's a big ask, because you're asking, what it is at that affiliate, you will take a small class of 7 to 10 of their actual clients, and you'll run a class. So there's a lot there in terms of the affiliate
Yeah.
communicating with their clients, the clients being okay with that, and seminar staff is, you guys are all super open to that. So it's a kind of an easier affiliate base to begin
When
with.
when when we've had CDPs at our gym, it's always funny because our members are fantastic, and they get it. So somebody comes in and they kind of, it's almost like the members feel bad for the participants of the course. They're like, "You tried hard. It was good." Yeah. So I think I think that's a good plan. I desperately want. Obviously, I didn't take the old level 2, but I desperately kind of want that kind of closing debrief to come back in the level 4. I don't know if that's appropriate, but I want there to be that group circle of just, people telling people that, yeah, maybe this isn't for you, or you did great.
Yes, I think if we don't get accredited, we can do that. We might as well
Perfect.
go back to
Perfect. I'm going to send Jason Ackerman through because
that.
he loves to talk about that he took the level 2 with the original level 2 with you back in the day.
Mhm.
Um, and then I I don't know. He tells the story. I don't know if it's accurate, but basically the short and short of it was that you told him that people really like to be around him, but he needs to work on his coaching. Sorry, that's my lights real quick. Do you remember doing that level 2 or any of those level 2s back in the day?
I remember level twos. I don't remember that one
Yeah.
specifically. There are ones I remember specifically.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my lights back on. That was another question that I had for you, which was, I was laughing because you had a video of you were of an old video. I'm gonna get my light back on in a minute. You were kind of talking about, it was a press lecture that you were giving, and you kind of gave a little,
Oh yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And I was watching it and I was like, man, she still has like, you could tell that you still have the eye and the critique of a red shirt. I was like, oh, she's looking at that and she's critiquing the shit out of herself right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did forever,
I
you
know.
know.
I thought it was fantastic.
Uh, yeah.
Is that so on that note, how do you we've tried to explain it in the past about the circle of feedback in seminar staff, and
Mhm.
I think that is probably the main driver of the push to be excellent. And I'm assuming there's some things in place for the virtual courses of
In
like
terms
getting
of
feedback,
getting
like giving
feedback.
staff feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll sit in on different webinars for sure. Like I'm sitting in on the kids webinar May 2nd and 3rd.
So
But
it's
then
actually going to be true when the flow master now says, "Hey, at any point, Dave and Nicole could come in that door and sit in the
that's right.
seminar." And like, yeah,
That's right.
but now they actually will. Yeah, now they
We
actually
have the
will
link
pop
to
in
every
virtually.
class. Yeah.
Oh,
But we also have the feedback, course feedback. And
okay.
so, and we look at all that. We look at the feedback, I think this came up at some point actually on something that Dave did, but we, every piece of course feedback that comes in, we look at it. And so we're always kind of measuring against, okay, hey, here's what people think. And then even with the level 1 and stuff like that, that's even part of an entire annual review process that we bring on the board and all of that stuff, where it's sort of like, hey, like looking for, feedback's an interesting thing because it's not something that you're gonna, you get a one-off and it's like, okay, you flag it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you're really looking for trends and kind of, well, what are the trends here, positive and negative, and then really honing in on the negative or the constructive, right? And
Yeah.
then say, okay, where, is there value in addressing this, and then doing it. And I mean, that's just how between staff feedback, participant feedback, director observation,
Mm-hmm.
just over the years, that's how we continue to keep things good. So, and
Yeah, I don't think I
we're
was gonna say I
always
don't.
improving the existing courses. And I'm sure that's not obvious. Here's the one thing that's cool. It's cool that that's not obvious, because I like that we hit a good standard, I think, really, quickly and immediately. We hit a
Mm-hmm.
good standard, but we're always with an eye on refining that. So it's,
Yeah, it's. I don't think people understand the value and importance that the organization as a whole, with specifically, I can't speak to anything else because I don't know anything else, but with regard to training, is the feedback. So if anybody who's listening to this, when you get a feedback form, multiple people are going to read that, and it's going to go into a report somewhere. And then the other thing that I don't think people understand is all of the trainers prior to a seminar read the participant entries before they show up.
yeah.
So if you we've had people that put some really funny things in there, like as a joke that we'll bring up, and then they're shocked that we brought them up. I'm like, yeah, we read that.
Yeah,
We
that
know
you
what you put in
actually
there.
read it. Yeah.
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 And I think that level of detail, I would imagine, and I saw the coursework, not the webinar portion of it. I saw and they've been putting blips on Instagram too. I think they just posted one of
Just one
Boz
of
doing the
Boz, yeah.
on the GHD,
Yeah.
and I have no doubt that the same level or critical eye went into building this course, obviously just on a condensed timeline. So I think anybody who's on the fence, like, you should just do it. Like, I mean, and give feedback so that it can get improved.
Yep, absolutely.
Um,
Yep.
I think that would be, Cassidy, my head coach, who's on seminar staff, he took it for CEUs for his level 3. So he took the course version of it. So I was just watching someone, and I was like, this is legit. Like, this is a full blown lecture, just like we would give with the level 1. So I don't think there's a ton lost, even from the little bit that I've seen from the online version. It's never going to replace that online aspect, or excuse me, the in-person aspect of it. Just like you can't replace walking into an affiliate and being in a class. But
Right.
I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, because you've seen the whole thing start to finish, but I would imagine it'd be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty damn good. Like, we, again, like you ask how many takes and things like that, and we definitely, we don't we don't let people off the hook easy, right? I mean,
No, no.
it's a pretty rigorous, it's it's a rigorous process of, even just for that, just kind of like, okay, you know, do it again. And but always, it's just, that's part of our culture, right? That's
Hmm.
part of the training department culture is we've just been, we're feedback is built into our fabric, and
That's
it is,
one of the main
it's
things that
almost
I have
weird.
to,
It's almost
I
weird
know.
if someone's like, good, yeah, nailed it. It's like,
Yeah, that would make me worry. I'm like, wait a second, you don't have, there's
yeah.
nothing, you don't have any feedback. You're like, no, it was great. And I'm like, was it? But that's one of the things, because people ask about getting on the seminar staff on the regular, as I'm sure they did to you back in the day. But that's one of the big pieces. I'm like, if you can't deal with feedback and can't implement quickly, it's going to be a tough go. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just, and it's, I don't think people understand because this doesn't happen in affiliates as much as it probably should, but it's not from a place of malice. It's like, this is the standard and we're not going to move it for anybody. Like you
Hmm.
have to hit it, but here's how you do it. But we can't hit that target unless we identify where the deficiencies are. And I think that's super important.
Yep. Yeah. Identify. And then, the nice thing is we have everything in place to support you getting better. And that's important too, is
Mhm.
that, that there's just a ton of support and resources for whatever might have been identified. Hey, like, here's just some really doable stuff that you can take to make yourself better. And I think that's a common kind of thread of the character of people on staff and who stay on staff,
Mhm.
is that they kind of have that ability to, their desire to be better trumps the kind of, oh, like the thin skin or the
Yeah,
micro or the ego or whatever else. It's like there's just this I would say that's probably the number one most common trait
I would
across the
agree.
board is people just, they're hungry to be better, to be the best, to be excellent. And
I would agree.
at both ends too, I think, even, and also in delivering feedback, there's that
Oh yeah,
desire there's that desire to be better at helping people be better, right? And
that's a
all of
skill.
that, yeah, it's
That's a
a total,
skill.
it's coaching, right? I mean, it's coaching on
It's a
on
skill.
whatever. There's a bunch of layers of it when you're dealing with staff, but it's all
Hmm.
the same type of thing, coaching, figuring out
It
how to get in.
it's an interesting. I would argue that most people have never probably experienced somebody who gives critical effective feedback. That's an art, I think, for somebody who basically tell you that you suck at something, but do it in a manner that you don't take it personally and that you walk away with the action items to improve.
Yeah.
And I think that's what e- every flow master that I've ever worked for has honed that skill of saying, yeah, I mean, it was good, but there's room for improvement, and here's how you can start to whittle away at that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
do you miss training?
Yeah, I do. I do. I love training. I love coaching. And
When was the last time you worked a seminar?
yikes, that's a good question. Maybe '09,
Oh, so almost 10 years.
10. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of,
Dang.
you know, yeah, maybe 2010.
Okay.
And then other than that, it's been more at this level of kind of staff
Yeah.
evaluation and support type of stuff that I'm there versus actually working, taking a lecture, something like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I love training. It's coaching.
It's
It's
it's an
yeah,
awesome job. It's an awesome job. How did you do on you did all of the support your box workouts, didn't you?
yeah.
How'd you do on the last one?
I got 606.
Damn. Listen, in case anybody's wondering, the boss is still fit. She still she still shows up to the trainer summit and whoops everybody's ass every year. Uh, yeah, because you won the squat workout again this year, didn't you?
Bottom to bottom, I tied Jen Yor with 21,
That makes sense. That makes
and I
sense.
ripped my
Yeah.
pants. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. because I had to do it in my jeans because
That's right.
like my workout clothes didn't show up yet. They were lost in the mail somehow.
Listen,
And
gotta want it. Gotta want it.
that's right.
Gotta want it. Oh, that's
I
great.
can actually send me a series of pictures of like that
Of the
whole
pants gradually
and
ripping.
no, just like the episode and my
Oh, got
face
it.
and the gestures of like covering up my, you know, so. But yeah, it was the
Uh,
last round, and I thought,
yeah.
do I stop?
I had to bow out way before that. I think I only hit like 17 or 18. I was like,
But
man, I'm not.
that kind of like bottom to bottom Tabata squats is almost like it's like a dad strength thing. Like I feel like no matter how old I get, for just because
Yeah,
I've done it for so long, so often,
yeah.
that it's just one of those things that's like whatever that special kind of pain is, I'm so accustomed to it.
And I mean, we have to be honest. You're kind of built for it. You're not exactly
Yeah,
tall.
I'm a perfect little air slaughter build. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna let her go. I could try to. I was teamed up with Matt Chan, and I was like, this is gonna be great. I was like, now I'm really gonna have to go hard because he's not gonna let me dial this back. But um, that was I can't wait for the next one, assuming the coronavirus ever goes away. But okay, cool. Do you have you talked to? Because you were on another call. I think you were on one of the calls that I was on with Coach Glassman. I think with a bunch of affiliate owners,
Oh
maybe.
yeah, with the affiliates.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you? I mean, I've heard a bunch of people doing some different cool stuff, but what's one of the coolest things that you've heard affiliates are doing during this time frame? Is there anything that like stands out?
I actually was on an anniversary class for Tanya Wagner's gym.
Oh, okay. Is it
Is it
Apex or
Apex? Yes.
is it Apex? Yeah, yeah,
I'm
okay.
pretty sure, yeah.
Something
And
like that, yeah.
yeah, and they were doing, so I guess the first workout they ever did in their box was Kelly.
Oh,
And then, yeah, I know, like kind of a hard anniversary workout, but there's
yeah.
good sports about it. And so every anniversary they do this big thing where I think they all get together and do Kelly. And so
That's cool.
this year they modified it for kind of the non-in-person
Yeah.
experience. And it was just really cool. And they would have members on, I think, every hour to kind of work out with them and do Kelly.
That's
12
cool.
hours.
12 hours.
Yes. And the coaches were doing one round of Kelly every hour to support that event. And I just thought, I was like, that's really cool.
That is
Some
cool.
little sick part of me is like, I'd actually like to try that. Just the
You and
day,
Tosh,
12 hours. I
you
know
and Tosh both have
Tosh,
a
I know. He
weird,
rubbed off on me a little in that way because
yeah,
there are
like,
things that I've done that he's like, and like, okay, I'll try it. Things I'd never would have done. And actually it's given me an appreciation for stuff like that, just in regard to how satisfying it is. How
it's
hard
an
it is.
acquired, yeah, it's an acquired taste, but I think once you do it, it becomes almost quasi addictive.
Yep. It is a little
Yeah.
bit like there's nothing quite like, like the 24 hours of rowing or the kind of pain and then getting through that pain and coming out the other side. It's just I'm probably not in the addicted stage yet.
Yeah.
I'm still more, but definitely when certain things come up, I'm like, oh, that I would have never been interested in it, but now I have a little more interest in.
For a couple years, like every year I would do something that was really outside of the box. I would like just on a whim go run a marathon or cycle 100 miles or something like that. And I feel even more so now during this time period, I'm getting like mentally weak with regard to working out,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to fix it. Like like for a while I was like, it's okay. It's everybody needs a break. But now I'm kind of in this mindset. I'm like, you're just a lazy turd and
Do
making
you think it's from not having the community piece?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate working out by myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would, yeah, it's a bummer, like not having people in the affiliate. We're at 10 years, and it's like it is a weird time, and yeah, I can't wait till we open back up. Like hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later, but who knows? Virginia's a little wacky right now. So.
Yeah, Virginia, they've got like a June 1st thing just kind of.
Oh, that's a whole separate podcast of me ranting, Nicole.
Yeah.
That I would need multiple drinks for that. And most people who listen to the podcast regularly know how salty I am about Virginia's decisions. But I mean, we'll figure it out, and it's we've already started putting some plans together, and but there's some silver lining there with regard to it. It's been somewhat of a forcing function to engage at a deeper level one-on-one with our clients. You know, it's a lot more phone calls, texts, Zoom calls, digging into people's stuff, if you will,
Yeah.
which is our job. So
Yeah.
that's cool. Well, listen, I know you are busy, and but I want to thank you for your time. And I think this is going to be cool. I think we answered a lot of questions that people have about the online level 1. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you think people need to know?
No, I think one of the, maybe like a little tip of the hand, one of the things we are looking at doing, because we have gotten a lot of requests for, and I get why this would be an appealing thing, to be able to retest online. And so in a secure way, so that,
Yep.
like if you're the first time person and you failed the test, is there some way that I can take it at home? A lot of people have been asking that about the current one. And it's kind of like, well, it's not really fair because it's not the same standard, because there's no pass fail. But we are looking at, there's this crazy cool technology that we're investigating where you can actually have like a remote proctor for an exam.
I've done that before for online. Yeah, because I'm in the middle of taking a master's course. It's really weird, but yes, it's basically somebody just monitors you through your camera, and they look at your room and everything.
It's like an AI. There's an AI component, and then there's an actual live person. And
so you can't open any browsers if you. It's pretty impressive, actually. Kind of frightening, but it's pretty impressive.
Yes, it does have a frightening, but we're looking at it as
cool.
Something, that even as a longer term option has some appeal, just in terms of,
I think that's a legit question.
Supporting the retest, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, we get it. Like it kind of stinks to have to go back to an in-person to retest. And so we are looking at that, and
that's cool.
Just that technology in general for testing has really kind of piqued our interest, and so.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I think this is super useful for everybody because there's a lot of questions about it, and it's just cool. It's cool to see how quickly the organization, but not shocking, evolved and pushed that out, which is really awesome. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you. It was fun.
Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Come on, who doesn't have Spotify at this point? And if you were unaware, Spotify now is offering podcasts. That's right. On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite artists, but also podcasts in one place for free. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now, Best Hour of Their Day. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can even download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, something I always do before I hop on a plane. And you can even easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram and other social media platforms. Here's the deal. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app search for Best Hour of Their Day on Spotify, or browse some other podcasts if you want. You can find them in your library tab. And also make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of Best Hour of Their Day. Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. And thanks again to our special guest. We appreciate all you guys do for us with Best Hour of Their Day when it comes to sharing our posts on Instagram, when it comes to subscribing to us on YouTube, when it comes to the constant feedback. We are grateful and we appreciate it. We are trying to build a community based on coaching development and becoming the best version of yourself. And it goes without saying that we couldn't do without all of you. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Season 1 of Dropping In is out. We are getting tremendous feedback and we'd love for you to check it out. Leave us a comment on there. Head over to our Instagram. Give us a follow. Like our pictures. Feel free to share anything that resonates with you. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback for us, please don't hesitate. Email us, besthouroftheirday@gmail.com. Thanks again. Until the next episode, we hope you've had the best hour of your day.